Okay, so Apple just announced a brand new iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. And their whole goal is this is the new cinema camera, photographer camera for your pocket. The question is though, do I give up my Nikon? Or do I even stop considering Sony and just go straight Apple? These are supposed to be the most revolutionary next step, the greatest thing since sliced bread camera phones with new 5x optical telephoto zoom, cinematic in your pocket, and honestly, did they just copy and paste last year?
Hey, I've seen this one.
So last year I found myself in a predicament. I really wanted to get a secondary camera so I could record videos like for YouTube and for streaming and stuff like that. Just something on the go, something small and compact. And the iPhone 14 Pro came out and it came with this whole new cinematic mode and portrait lenses and 48 megapixel camera and all the fashions, 4K 30, ProRes, Pro RAW photos, and I bought the phone, I have it. Have I used it for content creation? Not really. On paper, the brand new iPhone 15 is light years ahead than all the past phones. But when you compare it in reality to the year prior, how much has really changed? Let's first talk about for a photographer standpoint. You're looking at the camera itself. Now, you do have 5x optical zoom versus the previous year of 3x optical zoom. But what does this really entail? You get, rather than a 77mm equivalent, you get a 120mm equivalent in your pocket. The sensor is still a 48 megapixel sensor. There is still pixel binning. So instead of previously you used to pixel bin down to a 12 megapixel image, you now can get a 24 megapixel image and still have RAW at 48. The lenses are really where everything changes, and it's good and bad. So let's talk about it. You still get three lenses. You get a main lens, an ultra wide, and a telephoto. But what's the difference? You could set in your app the prime lens or the main lens to have three different options. Imagine it's a 24 to 48 1.7 aperture lens, or like 1.78. It's like a 1.8. You could choose whether your main camera will always be at a 24mm, 28mm, or a 35mm to go. And then it has up to that 2x, which is that 48. Then the second lens, which is the ultra wide, is a 13mm at 2.2 aperture. So you get a lot of light in with that, especially for landscapes, but it also doubles as your macro lens. So expect, different results with that. And then finally, what's the biggest difference between last year and this year is the telephoto, where now you get a 120mm equivalent lens at 2.8 versus the previous year, which was a 77mm equivalent at 2.8. So you do get 5x optical zoom, which is definitely a ton better than digital zoom. Side note about the phones. The iPhone 15 Pro does not get the 5x optical zoom lens. That's only available on the Pro Max. If you get the regular size, the 6.1 inch iPhone 15 Pro, you only get the 3x optical just like last year. So if you are not a Max user, which is a big chunky phone, then don't be prepared to be wowed by the extra 2x optical. You get a lot less artifacts, a lot less noise, and the picture just looks ultimately better. It's not as an, oh my God, take my money kind of, purchase, right? Now for video, there is one key difference between the 15s and the 14s, and that's 4K 60, ProRes, to a USB-C hard drive. That's right, you're able to record 4K 60 in ProRes or log to an external USB-C because the new phones have USB-C. You get USB 3.0 speed, which is up to 10 gigabytes per second. Of course, how often is that going to really occur? That's a whole other story. But you do get faster transfer speeds. So you can actually plug in a USB-C device and record video directly onto that. The phone will just recognize it and allow you to store video there, which is great, which is cool. Especially when you're trying to transfer to like Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve and you're sitting here waiting. I think I'm going on like almost like 20 minutes for a 5-minute video. But otherwise, internally, both phones record at 4K 30 frames in ProRes. So beyond that capability, the only other addition is the Ace color abilities. You get a better cinema grade color ability in the files itself. So if you are those editors who really like to color grade and adjust with a ProRes or a log file, you have that ability to do so, especially in what's like the film standard of ACE. So the real question is, I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer. Can I really just do everything on my phone as they showed in the ads? Oh, I could tether it to Capture One, and I could become a photographer doing a full spread shoot with just my phone, or being a full videographer recording a music video with my phone and being able to like make a cinema movie. Does it replace the gear that I've already acquired? Yes and no, and I'll explain why. The best gear that you're going to have is whatever is available to you. And I've seen content creators, both when they start out and when they're professional, be able to use any tool. Like, let's be real. You are as strong as you are in here than you are in here. The tools that you use to create do not limit what you can create. If you're able to create it, you can use the crappiest of software stuff, right? You know, you can make it work. I could take a 10-year-old camera and still get just the same quality, if not better, than what I could with a camera of this age. And I mean, you see it constantly with DSLR shooters who are still using older software, older hardware, and are able to get just outperform creators with the brand new latest and greatest. And even if you go to like TikTok and Reels and Shorts, you see people who are using phones and creating just such magnificent work. So is it going to replace my kit? No. Is it a great tool to have? Yes. But if you're on like a 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, or even a 13, do you need to upgrade? No. The benefits don't necessarily outweigh the cons. As much as the luxury and nice it is to be able to transfer at higher speeds, be able to record 4K 60, in all reality, for as much as the stuff that you create, you're not going to be using your phone as your primary setup. You may use it as a secondary camera or for a different angle, but you are not going to use it as your primary, especially when you have something like the Nikon or a Sony or even a Canon. If you're looking to upgrade your phone and you're looking between the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro, I would definitely consider the Pro, only because you get the benefits of the USB recording and the USB transfer speeds, just because when you are creating a lot of content, you have to transfer it into like an editing rig. That could be time consuming, especially if you're on Lightning, just because it's such a slower speed. However, if you have a 13 or a 14, even if 12, I definitely would say it's a luxury, but it's not a must-have. At least not yet. So when it comes down to it, I guess the real question is not just what I think, but what about you? What do you think about the new phone? Is this going to be the one for you? Leave a comment below. Let me know if you're going to buy it, and I'd be curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Otherwise, as always, I'm Joe. You're watching Matzo XL, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.